All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC. Specifically, I want to talk about all the fear that is surrounding this right now and all the information that is out there. I believe a lot of this is misinformation, so I want to try to go through the facts and tell you guys what's really going on, and then you can decide for yourself what you think about the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, it helps the channel out a lot, and I really appreciate it. Lastly, you can become a member of the channel by hitting the join button on the YouTube page. So if you don't see a join button, there should be a link below. Members get some members only content. In addition to that, we do a once a week live stream for members, and that's actually today, this afternoon, Tuesday afternoons. And lastly, members get to pick a video each week for me to do a deep dive on. So we'd love to have you there. Let's talk about Grayscale, because this has turned the cryptocurrency world, Bitcoin, and all the Bitcoin miners upside down over the last 72 hours. So I want to go through this, and I will tell you, big money has already long since figured this out. But the reason I'm doing this video is it's still the number one thing I hear being talked about today. So let's go through what's going on. All right, so just so that you can see, Grayscale's trading at $9.02. It's up 8.94% on the day. So yesterday it hit its 52-week low. The big concern started because their parent company has a different company that stopped withdrawals, and they're a major player in the cryptocurrency world. They're Genesis, so that's a totally different video, but there's common ownership. So all of a sudden, word spread like wildfire that, this is the contagion effect, and Grayscale is at risk, and do they even have 600,000 Bitcoin? And if they do, how are they going to prove it? And this trust started to tank. Okay, so this is an article from yesterday. GBTC Bitcoin discount nears 50% on FTX woes as investors stock up. So essentially, GBTC always trades at a discount versus the assets that it holds. And again, it holds over 600,000 Bitcoin. So it's real simple to figure out what the value of their assets are. So in the past, this has got up to 30% discount, 35% discount. Now they are trying to convert this to an ETF. So if they were to do so, that discount would disappear. So automatically, if this was at a 35% discount, you would get that money in the middle right away if they were successful. They're currently suing the SEC to try to turn this trust into a Bitcoin ETF. We don't know when or if they're going to be able to do that. That's not really what's at issue here. What's at issue is this discount has spiraled out of control. So yesterday at the bottom, this did get to a 50% discount. The first thing I want to show you is that has been completely reversed. So the big money, while everybody else is still talking about this and concerned about this, and YouTubers, retail investors, this is one of the biggest things people are talking about right now. Big money figured this out early. They let this thing crash, and it has skyrocketed since yesterday's lows. And that's because the big institutional money knows that this is not how things work. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I'm going to start here. This is an article from the Wall Street Journal. Coinbase vouches for Grayscale investment products. So all of Grayscale's Bitcoin is held in custody by Coinbase. On Friday, Coinbase Custody Trust Company, a subsidiary of Coinbase Exchange Coinbase Global, testified to the security of Grayscale's investments digital asset products held at Coinbase Custody. So here's the important part. In a letter signed by Coinbase Chief Financial Officer Alicia Haas, pardon me if I pronounced that incorrectly, Coinbase said the cryptocurrency underlying each Grayscale product are segregated in cold storage and can't be lent by Coinbase Custody. We will never directly or indirectly lend, pledge, hypothecate, or rehypothecate any of the digital assets underlying any Grayscale products, Coinbase said in their letter. So this is one of the many pieces of the puzzle that vouches for the fact that, in my opinion, I think it's unreasonable to think that Grayscale does not have custody of these Bitcoin. So you'll see Coinbase has come out, and remember, Coinbase is a publicly traded company. They are audited and they do filings with the SEC. So they are vouching for this. That's where the Bitcoin is held. In addition to that, Grayscale has to report directly to the SEC. Okay, so I'm going to go to Grayscale's website. This is under Safety, Security, and Transparency. Each Grayscale digital asset product is structured as a separate legal entity, a statutory trust for each single asset product, and a limited liability company for each individual digital asset product, sponsored by management by Grayscale Investment, but ultimately owned by the product's shareholders. For example, this means Grayscale Bitcoin Trust holds Bitcoin and only Bitcoin, and each share is backed by a proportional amount of the trust's holdings. Then they say in bold, to be perfectly clear, these digital assets are owned by GBTC and GBTC alone. If you want to look this up, this is the Form 10-K that Grayscale filed. This is audited by a third party, and they essentially have to verify that they have their assets in custody, every single quarter with the SEC. In addition to that, Coinbase has to do the same thing. Because they're holding custody of those, they also file a 10-K and 10-Qs that say the same thing. This would be an awfully big conspiracy. Now, you can never say that something's impossible. We've seen catastrophes in the financial world. So crises are possible, but you've got to do a risk assessment. So versus a lot of the other things, here's why this is different. We've seen gigantic things go under, most recently FTX. FTX is a private company, so we did not get to look under the covers, under the hood, if you will. We did not get to see their financial statements. No third party audited them and told us that everything is what they said it was. So they were lending out money, leveraging money, and doing risky things that we didn't know anything about. This is a trust. They have to hold their Bitcoin in trust. There's nobody else on earth that has a right to those Bitcoins. So this would be a catastrophic failure in the system if Grayscale were to not actually be holding these Bitcoin. And even Voyager was an over-the-counter, and Voyager did disclose that there was massive counterparty risk. So you were able to see that. What Grayscale is disclosing is there's no counterparty risk. It doesn't matter if their parent company has other companies. There is no crossover between those. Nobody has the right to these coins other than the owners of the trust. Okay, so Grayscale put out a letter last week, and in it they say Grayscale and Grayscale digital asset products are prohibited from encumbering the digital assets underlying its product pursuant to the terms of the trust agreement or limited liability company agreement governing each digital asset product. And the custodian for the assets, Coinbase Custody Trust, is prohibited from engaging in such activity as outlined in the product's corresponding custody agreements. Grayscale's digital asset products continue to trade and, where applicable, produce SEC and OTC market reports and audited financial statements. So we just looked at their 10-K. So one of the things that allowed this FUD to escalate was they will not disclose their wallets. So they're citing security reasons. They do not want to point out each one of their wallets that hold all of this Bitcoin. Given the fact that all the other things I just talked about, including the fact that they're governed by the SEC and they have to show proof of this on a quarterly basis, I think it's reasonable that they're not disclosing those. So if it turns out that there's something wrong here, then that will clearly have been an act of deception, and some people are going to be beyond big trouble. So, like I said, I can't say this is impossible. Anything is possible, right? Anything can happen. So, could this happen? Yes, but that's not really how I do my investing, is could something happen? You've got to say, is it probable? Is it possible? Is it reasonable? Is it unlikely? Is it highly unlikely? To me, this falls into the highly unlikely category, in my opinion. Okay, so this is not just my opinion. Here's an article from CoinDesk. Bernstein says Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is protected from fallout at sibling company Genesis Global. So that's what this is all about. The parent company also owns Genesis Global. Genesis Global is looking for $1 billion. So it does appear that they have a liquidity problem. I don't know what the answer to that is. That's a totally separate question. Okay, so you can see here GBTC's trust, and this is a quote, GBTC's trust structure protects its holders and remains ring-fenced from failures with DCG or DCG group entities. DCG is the parent company. So it doesn't matter what happens to the parent company. It doesn't matter what happens to any of the other companies the parent company owns. The trusts are their own entity. The market is concerned that Grayscale could be considered for strategic options in case of catastrophe, the note said, but DCG, even in the most adverse scenario, would prefer to hold on to Grayscale over Genesis. Grayscale is DCG's flagship business and its cash cow, generating over $300 million a year in fees, according to Bernstein. So it's not just me that's saying this, and really my final piece of this argument is going to be as follows. Okay, this is the one-day chart for the GBTC Grayscale Trust. So you're going to see yesterday, you're going to see two green candles, but really yesterday this crashed to a new low. So from the lows of yesterday to the highs of today, this is up 22% in really less than one trading day. So what that tells me is that big money already knew this was a non-issue. They did let the FUD escalate. They let this fund get down to almost a 50% discount. I think it may have actually exceeded a 50% discount for a few minutes in the day yesterday. And then they came in and they bought it en masse. By the end of yesterday, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust was green on the day. It was up, and today it's having a huge up day. So that gigantic 50% discount has disappeared, and it really hasn't even been 24 hours since people were in a pure panic about this. So unfortunately, I think as usual, retail investors sold this thing low, and then the institutional money came in and bought it up, and it's run back up. So obviously this will run contingent based on what happens to Bitcoins, but a lot of this discount that existed, this massive discount, because there was a fear they were going to go out of business, a lot of that discount has disappeared. Now, there's a lot left, so it's still trading at a deep discount for those of you interested. And again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. I'm looking at this more of a news story that's impacting everything else. Yesterday, I think there was peak fear in the cryptocurrency markets overall, in Bitcoin in general. The Bitcoin miners got destroyed in specific, and actually all Bitcoin related stocks, Coinbase got wrecked. So if you had anything to do with Bitcoin yesterday, you got crushed. But ironically, the one thing that finished in the green was the Bitcoin Grayscale Trust. So I think this was one of the great FUD stories of all time. Obviously, this is my opinion. I've showed you my line of reasoning. Yes, could everybody be lying? Could they be filing false reports to the SEC? I suppose all those things are possible, but I don't trade based on those possibilities. So that's just my personal opinion. You guys have to decide for yourself. Please do your due diligence if you're going to buy this, but I wanted to put this story in context to the FUD effect that has had on the entire cryptocurrency universe. This all dates back to the FTX stuff. I don't think we're at the end of this, but I do think people are starting to come around. Now, obviously, the next shoe could drop with something else altogether, so please be careful investing in this space. So that's all I've got for you on Grayscale and the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, remember, we do have a members-only live stream after the market closes today. If you're interested, you can hit the join button. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.